You're sitting on the couch. There's a bowl of something salty in your lap. On the screen, a person who does not exist, played by an actor reading lines a writer typed months ago, is saying goodbye to someone they love, and your throat goes tight. Your eyes sting, and then, against every logical bone in your body, you are actually crying. Over people who aren't real. You know it's actors. You know it's a set. Your tears did not get the memo. So what is going on in there? Why does a made-up story reach past everything you know to be true and squeeze water out of your eyes? It turns out this is one of the most beautiful glitches in the human brain, and once you understand it, you'll never feel silly about it again. Start with this. Your brain did not evolve to watch films. For almost all of human history, if you saw a face twisted in grief, it was a real person, right in front of you, and their pain was information you urgently needed. So the brain built a system to feel a flicker of what other people feel. When you watch someone else stub their toe, a part of your own brain lights up as if it happened to you. When you see someone smile, the muscles around your own mouth twitch toward a smile before you've decided anything. This is emotional contagion, and you do it constantly, without permission, and without noticing. A big part of this runs on what scientists call mirror neurons. The simple version is this. There are cells in your brain that fire both when you do something and when you watch someone else do that same thing. Watching becomes a kind of quiet doing. So when a character on screen breaks down, your brain doesn't run a calm little calculation about whether they're real. It runs the other person's emotion through your own circuitry, and for a moment, you feel a version of it from the inside. Here's the part that makes movies so powerful. The brain is generous with this. It does not check ID. It does not pause to confirm that the suffering it's mirroring belongs to a real human being who actually exists. The story is vivid. The faces are huge. The music is doing its quiet work underneath, and your empathy system simply responds to what's in front of it. To the oldest, deepest parts of you, a face in pain is a face in pain, whether it's your friend across the table or a stranger 40 feet tall on a cinema screen. And music, by the way, is not innocent here. Filmmakers know exactly what they're doing. A certain swell of strings, a piano line that slows down at the right moment, and your body starts bracing for emotion before the scene has even told you what's coming. Sound bypasses the thinking brain and goes straight for the feeling. Mute a sad scene and watch how much of its power drains away. Half of what made you cry was never on the screen at all. But there's a deeper reason we don't just feel a film, we go looking for films that make us feel. Because crying over a story is safe. In real life, grief is overwhelming and uncontrollable, and it arrives without warning. A film lets you visit those huge emotions on purpose, with the volume in your control, knowing the lights will come up and you'll be fine. There's an old idea for this, the notion that watching intense emotion play out can release something in us, like opening a valve and letting a little pressure out. You walk out of the theater feeling strangely lighter, even though nothing in your actual life changed. This is why people who are going through something often find themselves sobbing at a film that has nothing to do with their problem. The story isn't the real subject, it's a doorway. It gives the feelings you've been carrying somewhere to go, a reason that feels acceptable, a moment where letting go is allowed. Your brain seizes the chance. The character's loss becomes a safe container for your own. Now here's a question that catches people off guard. Why do we cry at happy moments too? The reunion. The kid who finally makes it. The quiet act of kindness from a stranger. Those tears are real as well, and they confuse people, because nothing sad happened. The likely answer is that these scenes flood you with a sense of connection and meaning that's almost too big to hold. You're overwhelmed by how much it matters, by tenderness, by the sheer fragile preciousness of people being good to each other. The tears aren't about sadness. They're about being moved past the brim of what you can contain. There's also a fascinating little detail in what happens to the body. When you cry from genuine emotion, the tears themselves are slightly different in makeup from the ones you cry when you chop an onion. And the act of crying triggers a calming response afterward. Part of why a good cry can leave you exhausted, but oddly settled. Your body treats it as a release, a way of discharging emotion that has built up with nowhere to go. This also explains why people differ so much. Some of us weep at a commercial. Others sit dry-eyed through the saddest scene ever filmed, and neither is better or worse. A lot of it comes down to how strongly your empathy system fires and how comfortable you are letting feelings show. People who cry easily often have empathy circuits that respond fast and loud. People who don't may feel just as much underneath, but have learned, sometimes from years of being told big boys don't cry or hold it together, to clamp the response down before it reaches the surface. The tears aren't a measure of how much you feel, they're a measure of how freely your feeling is allowed to move. And there's a social dimension we shouldn't skip. Tears are not just a private release, they're a signal. Crying is one of the few emotional displays almost impossible to fake convincingly, which is exactly why it moves other people so powerfully. When you cry, you're broadcasting, without words, that something matters to you, that you're vulnerable, that you need comfort or connection. We evolved to find this signal almost irresistible in others, which is why a crying face on screen pulls so hard at us. Even alone on your couch, your ancient wiring is responding to a call for connection, answering a person who isn't there. So let's put it together. You cry at movies because your brain is a magnificent empathy machine that was never designed to tell fiction from reality at the level of raw feeling. Mirror neurons run other people's emotions through your own wiring. Emotional contagion catches their state and spreads it to you. The music greases the whole thing, and underneath, a quiet hunger to feel deeply, safely, with the exit clearly marked, pulls you towards stories that will do exactly this to you. Which means the next time someone catches you wiping your eyes at a film and teases you for it, you can tell them the truth. It's not weakness. It's not being soft. It is proof that the most important social hardware you own is working perfectly. The same system that makes you cry over a character who never lived is the system that lets you comfort a grieving friend, sense when someone you love is hurting before they say a word, and feel less alone in a room full of strangers all gasping at the same scene. A person who can't be moved by a story isn't tougher than you. Something in their empathy circuit is just quieter. The tears on your face in a dark room are the cost of being deeply, fully human, of having a brain that reaches out and feels with other people, real or imagined, near or impossibly far away. So let them come. Hand yourself the tissues. Your empathy is not a flaw to be embarrassed about. It might be the best thing about you.